AP3 Lavish. AP3 Lavish. AP3 Lavish. Let's go. AP3 Lavish. Fitness. AP3 Lavish. Fitness.
Today's episode. Yes, it's called Stories That Shape Us. And no, I'm not talking about the story your grandma tells at every Thanksgiving dinner. Talking about how she used to be faster than all the neighborhood boys. I'm talking about our personal histories. The good, the bad, the ugly, the awkward. That affects our relationships with fitness today. Okay? So when someone walks into a gym, they don't just bring a towel. They don't just bring their headphones. They don't just bring a water bottle. When they walk inside a gym, they bring a story, okay? And that story can either hold them back or drive them forward. You get what I mean? So, I'll be real. My own story shaped me. I grew up naturally skinny, okay? I had a metabolism faster than Wi-Fi. Yeah, a metabolism faster than Wi-Fi. And food wasn't always easy to come by, okay? I didn't really take my fitness journey serious until about my early 20s. You get what I mean? But that past gave me grit. It gave me the sheer will. It gave me the dedication. It gave me the warrior mindset. It gave me the strength to overcome any obstacle I faced regarding my physical well-being. You get what I mean? So when I say every rep has a story behind it, I mean it. You get what I mean? So let's talk about people with their childhood, okay? Now, there's a thing called genetics, as you guys know. Some people are born with blessed genetics, right? Now, I like to say I'm born with blessed genetics. You get what I mean? But one thing I realized is that I was more of a martial arts kind of guy. You know, I didn't really like playing football, even though I was fast, athletic. One of the most fastest kids on the team, right? So here's the thing. If you're good at something, but if you don't like it, then what's the point of doing it? Somebody can tell you you're the best at something, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you. It comes down to, do you even like doing that specific thing? You get what I mean? You have to love what you do. It doesn't matter what people praise, how good you are at doing something. If you don't like doing something, then what's the point of doing it? Because at the end of the day, that empty void won't ever be fulfilled. You get what I mean? So, let's talk about childhood. Some of you listening were the athletic kid, right? The star athlete, right? The team captain, right? The golden child, right? And now, you're 45 with a desk job and you're wondering why your back hurts. You know? When you pick up groceries, right? Life comes at you fast, right? Others were the big kid. Maybe you got teased. Maybe you were picked last in dodgeball. You get what I mean? Maybe you was on the C team in football. You know? And guess what? That memory is still in there somewhere. All right? Because typically what shapes us as an adult, it comes from our childhood, right? Every time you see a treadmill, it's like, yes, my childhood trauma machine. My childhood trauma machine. And some of you didn't play sports at all. Yes, I know. Maybe fitness wasn't so part of your family's lifestyle. Oh, I get it. Maybe your parents was more on you about education, hitting the books, studying, you know? So now stepping into a gym feels like stepping into another country where everybody speaks protein shake and supersets. All right. But here's the professional truth. The inner child shows up in the weight room. If you are praised for performance, you may obsess over numbers. If you were bullied, you might feel self-conscious around weights. If you had no exposure, you may feel intimidated until you taste that first win. But here's the good news. Fitness gives you the power to rewrite those stories. You don't have to stay in the chapter you were handed as a kid. You get what I mean? So, let's talk about the trauma, the struggles, and the comebacks. Now let's talk about the struggles, okay? I'm going to be professional here. But all honesty, most people don't walk into the gym just because they were bored one Saturday. Usually something happened. When I see some of these guys at the gym for like 3 or 4 hours, it concerns me, right? Because first of all, you don't need to be in the gym for that. You don't need to be in the gym for that long. But maybe it's something that's inside them they're dealing with, spiritually. You get what I mean? Because at this point, it's not just about you trying to get into shape. It's something deeper beneath the surface that's going on with that human being. So maybe a doctor gave them a wake-up call. Maybe a breakup left them saying, okay, I'm about to have the best revenge body this city has ever seen. Or maybe they looked in the mirror and just decided, you know what? I don't feel like me anymore. I don't feel like the person I used to be anymore. Who are you? What am I? What do people see when they look at me? What do I think when people look at me? I've seen it all. People who never cared about fitness until a doctor said, if you don't change, you're on borrowed time. Or the person who went through a divorce and used gym as therapy. The gym is funny that way, It's like a counselor that makes you sweat and don't accept excuses. Every push-up, every squat is proof you're still there. It's proof you're still here. It's proof you still got the sheer will to make things happen. Proof you're rewriting your story, okay? And here's a professional insight. Trauma can break you, but it can also become the strongest fuel source you ever tap into, okay? The psychology of carrying the past, all right? Now here's when it gets interesting, guys. The brain is sneaky. It drags into your past, into your present, like that one friend who still brings up your bad haircut from the 8th grade. Yes. You all know what I mean. If someone told you you're not athletic, guess what? At 40 years old, you still hear that voice. If you're praised for being tiny, you might avoid eating enough to build muscle. If you were the skinny kid or the big kid, those labels can stick to you like a bad nickname, okay? Here's the refrain. What happened to you isn't your fault. But what you do about it now is your responsibility, okay? That's why I love the gym. Iron doesn't care about your past. A barbell doesn't ask if you were bullied in high school. It just says, pick me up or don't. And when you do, you're not just lifting weights. You're limiting beliefs, okay? Fitness is therapy with sweet and stains. In the PRs, well, they're your new life chapters, okay? Let me give you some real stories. And yes, I'll protect the names because HIPAA is real and also because I don't want angry text messages, okay? A 58-year-old mom who hasn't worked out in 30 years. She walked in nervous saying, I don't belong here. I fast forward. Months later, she's moving, breathing, and thriving. The story she carried was, I'm too old. You know how many times I've heard that? The story she's writing now is, I'm just getting started. And that was her story. Let's talk about a 43-year-old woman who was always underweight, praised for being tiny. But she decided, I want to be strong. I want to build muscle. She's no longer chasing tiny. She's chasing powerful. A cancer survivor who just wanted to walk without pain. Their story used to be about fear. Now it's about victory. One rep at a time. One day lets her shine. One day at a time lets her shine, okay? You see, the gym isn't just a place where you sweat. It's like a place where you reinvent yourself, okay? Here's what I want you to take away. Your past explains where you are, but it doesn't define where you're going, okay? The story you carry might be heavy, but that's why you train. So you can lift, set it down, and write a new one. You have to ask yourself, what story am I still carrying that no longer serves me? Okay? You have to ask yourself, the next time you're in the gym, you have to ask yourself, you have to ask yourself, let that rep, let that step, let that breath be proof that you're moving forward, okay? You just have to find what motivates you to make you pass that present obstacle. You get what I mean? So, now, I want to tell you guys a story about a girl who grew up carrying insecurity like it was a backpack full of bricks. Yes. She never thought she stepped foot in the gym, let alone transform her body and her confidence. But her story proves what I always say. Fitness isn't just about muscle. It's about rewriting the way you see yourself. So lean in, because this isn't just her story. It's a story that might sound a lot like yours, okay? Kick back, relax, grab some snacks, grab some Apple Jacks. And just listen. This girl grew up quiet, always comparing herself to others. At school, she actually noticed other girls, okay, who seemed effortlessly athletic. While she felt out of place in PE class, the sports, she said, forget it. Every teams were picked. She hoped not to be last, but often she was. So like this girl, man, the kind of thing that leaves a mark, Kids don't realize their words stick like tattoos you didn't sign up for. Comments like you're too skinny, or you're not strong, or, you're not this and that. It stayed with this girl, okay? She started avoiding mirrors, avoiding cameras, avoiding anything that reminded her of how little confidence she had in her own body. But here's the key. The insecurities she carried weren't really about her body. They were about the story she kept replaying in her head. Okay? Fast forward a few years, she is in her early 20s. Life looked fine from the outside. Job, friends, normal routine, but inside the same insecurities kept popping up. She see Instagram posts of fit girls and think, damn, that's not me. I wish that was me. How come that's not me? She'd see friends posting workout selfies and think, I look ridiculous in the gym, Coming in the gym, it's like, oh, look at all these imitating machines. Oh my goodness. Then there came the breaking point. One night she looked in the mirror and said, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of letting fear call the shots. And that was the moment. Okay, that was the moment everything changed. Not instantly, right? Not instantly, right? Some people just want instant gratification, but that's not the case. But the decision was made. She was going to start. Her first day in the gym wasn't magical. It was terrifying. She walked in convinced everyone was staring at her. She didn't know how to use half the machines. She thought people would laugh if she picked up the tiny weights. But here's the beautiful truth. Nobody was judging her. Most people were too focused on their own insecurities to notice hers. That realization came later, but it started on day one. So she started small, a treadmill walk, a couple of sets of bodyweight squats, maybe a plank. She couldn't hold for more than 20 seconds, she told me. But she showed up the next day and kept progressing. I call it progressive overload. You keep showing up day by day, improving and improving. Eventually you challenge yourself to where you exceed your expectations and you move on to the next level. You get what I mean? So, the hardest weight anyone lifts is in a gym. Lifts is the gym door, the very first time they walked through it. She lifted it, and that changed her story. Weeks turned into months. She started learning how to squat properly, learning how to use dumbbells, learning that sweat wasn't embarrassing. It was proof she was putting in the work. The mirror that was, it felt like an enemy. It became her scoreboard. You see, she noticed small changes, okay? Shoulders a little stronger, legs a little firmer, a little more better posture, a little more pep in her step, as I might say. Posture a little taller. But the biggest change wasn't physical, it was mental. For the first time, she believed in herself. She wasn't a girl hiding in the back anymore. She wasn't a girl who avoided cameras. She was the girl showing up for herself constantly. And with every rep, she wasn't just lifting weight, she was lifting years of insecurity off her shoulders. And yeah, she hated burpees, but hey, don't we all? By the time a year passed, the girl who once dreaded gyms became the woman others asked for advice. People noticed her confidence before they noticed her muscles. She carried herself differently. She smiled more. She laughed more. She walked taller. Her story became living proof that fitness isn't about being the strongest or the leanest. It's about showing up for yourself until the old story doesn't fit anymore. The same girl who once said, I'm not athletic, now said, I'm strong. The same girl who avoided mirrors, and she now says, I've earned this. The same girl who used to shrink in silence now inspired others to rise up. So here's the lesson. Insecurity doesn't disappear when you hit a certain weight or look a different way. It disappears when you prove to yourself over and over and over and over and over again that you're capable. Her story is about fitness, yes, but it's really about courage. The courage to start, the courage to be uncomfortable, the courage to show up when your inner voice says, you can't, you can't, you can't. And if you're listening right now and you see yourself in her story, remember this. You don't have to stay trapped in your old narrative, okay? You can rewrite it one rep, one step, and one day at a time, okay? Now, I'm going to talk about a man who's from another country who proves that fitness has no age limit, okay? No cultural borders, and no expiration date. His story is about courage, culture, and consistency. And if you ever thought I'm too old to start or it's too late for me, his journey will erase that doubt. So this guy, man, he grew up in a small town overseas, okay? Life wasn't easy. Work was physical. Food was always plentiful. And fitness wasn't even a concept. No, it wasn't. You see, exercise wasn't going to the gym. It was carrying heavy buckets of water, walking miles, farming, or doing hard labor. As for years past, he moved for work, raised a family. And like many people, damn it, his health took a backseat. His diet leaned heavily on traditional foods, many of them hearty, but not always balanced. You get what I mean? So he carried his pride into his culture, but always carried the weight of neglecting himself. By the time he was in his late 50s, he had high blood pressure, joint pain, and the fear that his best years were behind him. But one day, he went to a check-in at the doctor's office. He got a reality check. There's one thing bigger than a paycheck, and that's a reality check. If you don't change your lifestyle, you may not see the next decade. Yes, that hits hard. See, if he wasn't afraid of death itself, he was afraid of not being there for his family. He had grandchildren, He wanted to play with them. He wanted to walk with them. He wanted to laugh with them. He wanted to watch them grow. But that's when he made a decision. Even though he was an older man in a new country with different customs, he was going to try something different he had never done before, join the gym. And yes, when he first walked in, he looked at all the machines like they were alien spaceships. Yes. You know the face people make when they can't figure out which way the machine goes. Yes, that was him. His first workout was humbling. The treadmill left him out of breath in minutes. He couldn't squat his own body weight without holding on to something. Push-ups? Forget it. But here's what made him different. He showed up anyway. He didn't care if people looked stronger. He didn't care if he was starting at the bottom. He said to himself, if I can work hard in the fields for decades, I can learn to work hard here. So he started slow, walking, stretching, using light machines. A trainer, someone like me or you, showed him how to move safely, to show him guidance, protect the joints, and build slowly. And yet he built it consistency. You know what I mean? You see, weeks turned into months. He kept showing. He kept showing up. At first, it was like 2 days a week, then 3. His form improved. He learned how to squat with good technique. He could press dumbbells without shoulder pain. He even started enjoying cardio. Okay, maybe not enjoying, but tolerated. You know, professional speaking, this is where most older clients make the biggest gains. Not in lifting 400 pounds, but reclaiming mobility, balance, and confidence. He started noticing the small wins, okay? His blood pressure is lowered. His posture improved. Walking up the stairs didn't even feel like climbing. It didn't even feel like climbing up Mount Everest, you know? And the best one, his grandchildren noticed. They say, Grandpa, you look stronger. Grandpa, you look stronger. That itself brought a tear to his eyes. The compliment meant more than just having a six-pack, okay? The transformation came in by his early 60s. He was like a new man. He didn't look like a bodybuilder. Didn't need to. He looked alive. He looked confident. He moved like someone 15 years younger. Culturally, he became an inspiration to others in the community, friends, family. Back home, they said, "What are you doing? You look different." He proudly said, "I started training." Yes. He started respecting his health. He told people, "I started respecting my health." What's powerful here is not just his physical change, but the ripple effect. His sons, his neighbors, even people in his own hometown started walking, training, and taking their health seriously. All because one older man decided to change. You get what I mean? So it's never too late, okay? At 58, he chose fitness, and it gave him decades back. Culture and age don't limit health, whether you grow up in a small village or a big city. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, the body still responds to consistency. You know, his choice didn't change him. It changed his family and his community. So just remember, there's always a way to success, okay? And you know, here's the thing. Insecurity is universal. Even the most confident people you see in the gym flexing their biceps like they're in a Marvel movie have insecurities. Trust me, I train people. I know what's hiding under the armor. I see through people like, what's that one superhero name? Can Superman see through people? I don't know, I forgot. I mean, I'm very good at observing people, okay? I'm very good at analyzing their demeanor, their mannerisms, and facial expressions, okay? I can tell what intimidates them, okay? So, a lot of insecurity starts in the childhood. Maybe you were teased on the playground, like I talked about earlier. Again, for being too skinny, too heavy, too tall, too short. Kids are brutally honest. Yes, I know those words stick. Some of us grow up with parents who constantly compare us to siblings or cousins. Why can't you be more like them? Ain't that something? Boom, insecurity planted. Even teachers or coaches can contribute. You're not athletic. You'll never make the team. Or years later, that little voice still whispers when you step in the gym. Think about the first time you remember feeling like you're not enough. That moment is often the seed of insecurity, okay? Another reason people are insecure is comparison. Social media has turned comparison into a full-time job. We scroll through endless feeds of six-packs, big booty glutes, luxury lifestyles, big old breast, implants. I mean, I can go on forever. Even the perfect couples, okay? But here's the truth. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, okay? It's like showing up to a bodybuilding competition without a flashlight when everyone else has the stage lights and makeup. No wonder people feel small. Professional insight. The brain is wired to compare, okay? It's how we access where we stand in this tribe. The problem is the tribe used to be 20 people in your village. Now it's 20 million people on your feed. Insecurity all comes from trauma and setbacks. Someone who's failed at weight loss 10 times may feel doomed once yet again. Someone cheated on may believe they're not attractive enough. Someone told their dreams were unrealistic may forever doubt their abilities, you know? The thing about me personally, you know, I reached a point in my life where I stopped giving a fuck and I stopped living for God. You know, it's like, with me, it's like, I mean, what else can hurt me, you know? It's like with somebody like me, the pain is just, you become so numb to the pain, it's like, nothing really hurts you anymore, you know? You just fucking do it, regardless of what people say. So, the mind records pain like it's a scar. Every time you face something new, your brain pulls out the scar and says, remember that? Where you felt last time? A humor moment of what I'm trying to get at here. I put it to you in perspective. So it's like your brain is that one friend who's always brings up your embarrassing high school yearbook photo. You see, you have to be honest, okay? Society profits off of insecurity. The beauty industry tells women you're not enough without this product. This fitness industry tells men you're not a man unless you have a six-pack. Ads everywhere scream fix yourself. No wonder people feel like they're never enough, okay? Insecurity sells, but the truth is most flaws are manufactured. Let me say that again. The truth is most flaws are manufactured. Your worth doesn't come from a scale, a mirror, or a number of likes, engagement, okay? The next time you see an ad, right? You see an ad like on social media somewhere. Ask yourself, is this telling me I'm broken just so they can sell me something? You get what I mean? Insecurity shows up in different ways, okay? In a gym, people hide in the corner afraid to try on new exercises, or they overcompensate by lifting too heavy just to look strong. I see it all the time with young guys. We call it ego lifting. You get what I mean? In relationships, some avoid dating thinking they're not good enough. Others get jealous, projecting their own doubts. In careers, like people don't go for promotions because they feel underqualified. They even if they're more than capable, okay? The funny thing is, many times people we admire most also feel insecure. They just hide it better. So why are people insecure? Because childhood scars, constant comparison, past failures in society that profits from keeping us down. But here's the empowering part. Insecurity isn't permanent. You can reframe it. You can train it out like a weak muscle. Every time you face a fear, every time you push through a doubt, every time you show up, prove your insecurity wrong. Remember this. Confidence isn't the absence of insecurity. It's action that despites it, okay? You see, I want to be clear. I'm not saying the gym replaces therapy. Trauma is real, okay? Trauma is real, complex, and sometimes needs professional mental support. What I am saying is movement heals. Fitness is one of the most powerful tools we have to take back control of our minds, okay? In bodies, we have to take back our bodies after life shakes us, okay? Trauma isn't in your head, it lives in your body. People who experience trauma often carry it physically, okay? Like tight shoulders, poor posture, chronic stress, shallow breathing. Psychologically, trauma makes you feel powerless. Like life is happening to you instead of through you, okay? The nervous system, you get stuck in fight, flight, or freeze mode, okay? That's why fitness is powerful. It interrupts that cycle. What you guys need to understand, exercise releases endorphins, okay? It lowers cortisol levels and literally it rewires the brain by building new connections. Each rep, each breath signals safety and strengthens your body, okay? You see, trauma often strips people of control. Fitness gives it back. When you choose to step into a gym, you're choosing to take charge. When you push your weight, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than resistance. When you run, when you walk, when you stretch, you remind your body that movement is still possible. Possible. I always say that the heaviest weight people lift isn't just a barbell, it's the decision to start. Every workout becomes a way of saying, I'm not defined by what happened to me. I'm defined by what I choose to do now. So, here's where it gets powerful. I've seen clients go through divorce and channel that heartbreak into squats and deadlifts. By the time they walked out the gym, they weren't just stronger physically, they were emotionally lighter. I've seen survivors of illness, even cancer, rebuild their confidence with walking, stretching, and strength training. The gym became their battlefield and their victory ground. I've seen people who lost loved ones use fitness to process grief. Every run, every rep, every drop of sweat was in a way of working through the pain instead of being crushed by it. You get what I mean? So, sometimes drama just comes out mid-burpee. What makes sense because burpees are traumatic in their own way. Trust me, I know. So, let's talk about this. Let's get a little nerdy for a second, okay? Exercise activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and recover system that helps calm anxiety and stress caused by trauma. You see, strength training builds not just muscle, but confidence hormones, dopamine, and serotonin, which stabilizes the mood. Movement grounds you into the present. Trauma keeps you replaying the past. Fitness says you're here, you're now. Breathe, move, push forward, gravitate, elevate, levitate. You see, the gym doesn't erase trauma, but it creates a healthy outlet so the trauma doesn't control you, okay? Just remember that, remember that, remember that, remember that. The biggest shift is trauma makes you feel like a victim. Fitness teaches you to become a victor. The rep that you couldn't do, you did it. The mile you couldn't run, you finished it. The body you thought you was broken, it gets stronger. You get stronger. And over time, those small wins stack up. I call it compound interest. You see, they created a new identity. You get what I mean? So it's like you need to stop saying I'm broken and start saying I am resilient. So how does fitness overcome trauma? It overcomes by giving you movement when you feel stuck, by giving you control when you feel powerless, by giving you victories, one rep at a time when life made you feel like you lost. If you're listening and you're carrying trauma, know this, and you don't have to carry it alone, okay? And you don't ever have to carry it forever. Every squat, every push, every breath in the gym is proof that you can rewrite your own story, okay? Just always remember, there's somebody out there who you inspired. There's somebody out there who, there's something you said to them that's going to stick with them for the rest of their life, okay? Just keep that in mind. And there's somebody out there who's looking at you like inspiration. Like, let's say you're the person losing weight. Let's say you came to the gym. We first started, you was 280. 3 months later, you're 240. Somebody is looking at you like, damn, wow, look at this guy. Look at this woman. Look at that. If they can do it, I can do it. You know, because the proof is in the pudding. Actions speak louder than words. You get what I mean? So,